All right, so today we are here with the vegan tech nomad Jen. And vegan tech nomad, that just sounds like you're living the Tim Ferriss dream when we put those words together. How did that name come about?
Actually, it's kind of funny because my ex-boyfriend hated that username when I was trying to make it a business. And he was like, you need to change this. And got so mad when I wouldn't because I really liked it. It is me. I'm vegan. I am in tech and I'm a digital nomad. I travel like 8 months of the year. And then we broke up and then I went viral. So here we are.
We love the
Thank
revenge
you.
arc. We love it. So like is that where that name came from? Is just kind of like the key cornerstones of who Jen is essentially.
Yeah, actually, I started it like 2 years before I went viral, and I was like struggling to come up with a name that was available on all platforms. So when I found that name, that's why I didn't want to change it because I was like, I'm such a genius. I love this name. It took forever to come up with because it was supposed to be my blog name. I was into blog writing, but I never finished my blog writing course and then gave up because it was so boring. But I had all the social handles, so then I started posting and pivoted, and then here we are.
Love that. Love that. I mean, that's kind of like the origin story of this pod, right? Like I had originally bought this domain a couple years ago just because I saw it and I was on this sort of domain buying spree at this point. Like it's not good how much money I spend on domains every single year, but they'll come of use at some point in the future.
Yeah, but it was so embarrassing though because Vegan Tech Nomad was connected to that blog that I started, but then it was in shambles because I didn't work on it. So when my Vegan Tech Nomad social media that was supposed to be for the blog, but I just did my own thing. When that went viral, everybody was Googling Vegan Tech Nomad and it just clicked on like the blog that was in shambles and I was like, oh, uh-oh.
Where's the blog now?
I took everything out. I moved it to the Beehive newsletter that I have now, so it's all good.
Gotcha. And so what was that virality moment? You mentioned it a couple times already. What happened there?
Yeah, it was actually very interesting because I didn't go viral on that same topic and almost gave up on it. So I posted on TikTok first and I started with running vlogs, travel stuff, but it was kind of hard to make and it wasn't really that enjoyable. So I wanted to do more productivity, tech, which is what I posted about, but the videos didn't do well on TikTok. And I was like, no, this is going to be my content era. Let me start repurposing all my TikTok posts on Instagram, YouTube, etc. So I actually scheduled all of my old TikTok posts on Instagram. And I guess I did it at the right time, like around New Year's, because the videos actually went viral on Instagram, but they didn't go viral on TikTok. But I knew there was something there because all my friends and people at networking events, when I told them about like how I track my time and my life 24/7, everybody was like, wait, that's so interesting. That's so cool. So even though the first few times it didn't go viral on TikTok, I was like, I knew there's something interesting here. And now my whole brand is like the Notion life tracking girl.
That's so awesome. What's since you started with your blog and been running and travel content, like zooming into today, what's been taking up most of your time today?
Yeah, so I started an ADHD content system program. That's like I'm branching into more high ticket programs now. And that's been taking up a lot of my time because it's like almost daily optional co-working calls and weekly live calls and then also daily feedback in our community. So I've been mostly focusing on that. But before that, I did a mid-ticket course about life tracking, which is what I went viral for. And that got a lot of good feedback. It's just I wanted to charge more high ticket, which is more on the business side.
That's awesome. I mentioned blogging was boring. I'm curious, I've always experienced with blogging. What made it boring and like hard to do?
Yeah, they're talking about like SEO and research, and I was like, I hate doing admin work. I hate doing research. Like, I liked the video because it was fun. I could make entertaining videos and cool ideas and share them with people because I already like doing that. But blogging, I was like, I love writing, but this is like having to do all the research, searching up the keywords, like looking at the domain stuff. I was like, this is too much, so I couldn't stay consistent with it.
And what year did you start? What year did that virality hit? Because you said New Year's, but what year?
Yeah, so it was December 2023. So all of 2024 was like the first official year of my business. But I purchased the blog writing course in February 2022 and then like didn't work on it at all for the whole year.
I mean that's what we all do, right? If you were, so could you explain a little bit for people who might not know, right? I've heard low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket items. What is typically like A, what does that mean? But B, what are like the typical price ranges for what each of those could kind of stand for?
Yeah. In my business specifically, my low ticket stuff is like Notion templates, which I sell for like $5 to $10. I think the most expensive one is like just under $50. And mid ticket is like a few hundred. So my life tracking course is $2.99. And I have some stuff to say about pricing psychology later that I found very interesting when selling that course. So I'll share that in a bit. And then the higher ticket I sold for like $2,000. But I've heard people go all the way up to like more than $10,000 for a program. So
Oh, wait, what program is it?
the $10,000 one or like my own $2,000 one?
Your own. And what's stopping you from pricing it to 10,000?
I think it's just lack of confidence. I need more like experience, I feel like, and more case studies before I have that confidence to charge 10,000.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm curious, how has been your experience? Like, do most people gravitate towards the low ticket items? Do you notice like a certain type of customer gravitates low ticket versus mid ticket versus high ticket? What are the differences you see in like customer types and like the revenue streams from that?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of misconceptions around this because a lot of people were like, oh, I'm from like this country, or like I'm a student, I can't do this. So then I started offering payment plans, and there were a lot of different things that I did that I was like, wait, people who say they can't afford it actually can. It's just like the value perception. And then I started getting DMs of people being like, hey, you offer a lot of free templates, but I'm looking for something to purchase from you so I can support you. Now, that was my first time being like, oh, people actually want to pay me. I need to make it, instead of just offering free stuff, because I thought that's what they wanted. It's like people actually want to support me as me. So then I worked on a new link in bio page that was very clearly highlighting the stuff that they could purchase from me. But going back to like the value perception thing, when I first launched my life tracking course, it was 99 USD, which was pretty cheap for a semi-live structured cohort for 30 days. And a lot of people were like, I can't afford this. And then I increased the price to $199, and a lot of people were like, I can't afford this. So when I finally increased the price to $299, more people were like, I can't afford this. But I was like, okay, let me give you a discount code so you can get in at the $199 price. And everybody who said they couldn't afford it ended up going for that price. So I was like, oh, I should have just started higher and then like gave a discount code. It's like the value perception or something. And that's why a lot of people with high ticket programs, they try and anchor your perception. They're like, oh, this many live calls is worth like $10,000. And this other thing is worth like $500. And then the total should be like $20,000, but I'm only giving it to you for 1,000. And it's like the value perception, you know? That was like the time when I realized like people actually can afford things. Like I try and offer discount codes and like scholarships where I can. But I had students even email me being like, hey, I can convince my parents to buy this for me. Do you have a payment plan? And I was like, oh, like I didn't know I could offer payment plans to make it easier for people. And then the people who did see the value in my stuff were willing to like pay me for it. Because a lot of people said, I want to pay you what you're worth. And I was like, that's so nice.
So awesome. I'm curious, you mentioned you learned about pricing psychology. How do you decide what to price your items?
Honestly, sometimes it's just vibes. I test and then like I see what other people are doing it as. Like for my course, because it was like the first time I did a course, I started at 99, but then I increased it all the way up to 299 USD because I see that's what other people are offering it as. But actually it's still actually a little under the price of my market. It's just because like there was this life tracking course, completely asynchronous, no structure or anything, just videos only. And they were pricing it at like 400, 500. But mine has like gamification, it has a community, it has like all these other things. And then I only charge $299. But then a lot of people have been emailing me. They're not from the US. They're from like Australia or Canada. And $299 USD is like a lot more in their local currency. So I was like, okay, maybe let me stop at $299 for now. And then I don't know what I'll do in the future, but that's why I decided to just keep it at $299.
So and then you offer discounts at 199. So for people listening, you can try charge like double the price and offer like 50% off to your audience.
I was just gonna say it's like a bit tricky with discounts because it's like you don't want to train people to wait for a discount. So what you can do is like have expiring bonus offers or something. I find that deadlines work very well. So like one day I used to make 6K a month Canadian, and then one day I made 6K like in that one day, and that was the deadline day for my course. So everybody was
Wow.
like enrolling.
That's crazy. What I'll have two questions. The first one is I know you just mentioned kind of pricing outside the US, right? So with USD, what 299 to Canadian is like almost double, right? I think Canadian's like 1.5 to the US dollar or something like that. Um so like as again, if you're going to even like especially like Asian countries and stuff, that price starts to really skyrocket. Are you seeing that a lot of your community are like US based people, or is it more international for like me and Grace since we are based in the US, you're based in Canada? But like where are the people that are typically in your community based from?
Yeah, so a lot are from US, Canada, Australia. There are some who are from India and like Singapore. I think some from Vietnam and Asia, but for those people, I either give them a discount because I do pricing parity, or I let them in exchange for some honest feedback and like, you know, just like if there's any mistakes on the platform, they need to let me know. So I only do like a limited number of those, like free in exchange for feedback seats per cohort. So, because it's like a lot of effort to maintain and like manually do all of that. So I would say probably still mostly US, but the people who can't like purchase, they just consume my free content on YouTube and Instagram anyway. So
No, that's awesome. And so like you mentioned before that you're making 6K Canadian. That's like in your like day job, I would assume, right? That's where you're kind of comparing it to before.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and
And
then
then I actually got laid off in like July, and then August I launched my course, and then that's when I made the 6K day.
oh wow. Okay, that's amazing. That's I love that story. We were talking in our last pod about one of my friends, Toaster Paints, who like his business basically got started because he got fired after creating a lot of TikTok content around paint, and so he just ended up creating his own like paint company and paint brand. So very similar to like your sort of story of this quote unquote bad moment led to something that it has popped off into something amazing. With that, what has been your biggest day in one day? Have you been able to get over that 6K day?
No, I think that 6K day was the biggest. The one thing I will say now that you're mentioning like jobs and like firing, laying off, I feel like a lot of people I see, they're like, I don't have time for content. I have to focus on my job. I'm too tired after work. But like my job was in marketing. So I literally copy pasted what I did for this company into my own brand. And I remember I grew their TikTok to like 50K followers. And I remember thinking like, dang, I wish I did this for my own brand because if I leave the company, like this is their property, like I can't take it with me, but like my face is all over their social media feed. Like I have all these followers. We made a lot of money from it. And so I just copy pasted and did it with my own content. I posted every single day, like one video after work. It was very simple. It didn't have to be a long video. Sometimes it was just filming my face and then text on screen. And then I grew to, I think, 70K followers, which was more than my work account, basically. And then so when I was eventually laid off, I was like, okay, I'm glad that I prioritized my own brand because like I was actually laid off in the middle of traveling. So I was like, I
Oh
can't
wow.
really interview for jobs. Like I'm, traveling the world. So let me just go full time on this thing that I had been building on the side already. So it was like kind of nice because I was I always wanted to build my own thing for myself. So it just happened sooner than expected.
I love that. So when we're looking at like sort of your money breakdown, right? You can give out specific numbers, but what I really want to know too is like the percentages of where kind of like your money is coming in from. Because right now, You've got like your low ticket, right? Your Notion, your mid ticket, which is the sort of like digital course, and then your high ticket, which is, I would assume, a little bit more personalized type of course type of setting. What is the breakdown for those? And then also, do you have any other like incomes from being a creator? So like brand deals or anything like that?
Yeah, so I can share my screen with my spreadsheet with all the numbers. But I will say this is like not 100% accurate. This is just estimates. It doesn't take into account like the tax and like some of the fees and some of the refunds, I think. Like that's my accountant's job. I'm just like trying to get an estimate so I can see what I need to do for like the next month. So let me share my screen. Can you see that? Okay, so this was last year, 2024. Okay, it's very messy right now. I have the breakdown by month. So August was my highest month, I believe, which is 13K USD. Everything's in USD. Oh my God, I made such a dumb mistake because I charge in USD and then it automatically converts to Canadian dollar. But then I pay my video editor in USD. So I'm like converting it back and forth and losing a bunch on fees. So I fixed that this month. But yeah, this is when I launched my course. It was 11K made from the course. I sold a few templates and I got my sponsor payment went through finally after like a month. And then this is what I paid for. Let me go through the high level overview.
Yeah, the profit margin on that is amazing. That's why people love
Yeah.
digital courses and everything, right?
Yeah. So yeah, my highest month was August at 13.6K, and then December when everybody was like working on their goals at 12.7 to 8K. And then most of the money from the beginning of the year came from sponsors, so B2B. And then at the end, after I launched my course, a lot came from B2C, which is like courses, templates. I stopped doing sponsors altogether because a lot of people who were reaching out to me, I didn't even like their products. So I was like, I'm not going to promote this. I tried to look at the revenue per post and email as well. And I made a lot more from email because I think some people deleted Instagram because they wanted to be more productive and stop doom scrolling. So I just emailed them. Okay, yeah, I made the most money in August basically. And most of my sponsorships were from newsletters in the beginning and then from Instagram, and then I just stopped. And the highest ROI is from writing emails because I track my time 24/7 as well. So then I'm looking at like highest ROI on stuff. And then like all the currency conversions, it's really messy. Let me
And
go to
that
December.
time spent column that's in hours, I assume.
Yeah. So like I would spend 7 hours emailing back and forth or like making videos for sponsors, but then I'd make $2,000, which means this is the ROI. And then 113 hours that month was spent on like running my course and programs. And then like I made 10K from that. So like this is the ROI. And then I have like all the revenue streams breakdown here, all the expenses, time spent, etc. So
Wow, this is so impressive. I love how you track the time spent too, so you can calculate how much ROI you spend your time on. That is so cool. That is so cool. It makes me want to do it too. I see a coach. Do you work with like a coach to like how do you like grow in this? Like yeah, for the coach. Like what did the coach do?
it's actually very interesting because I saw this coach on Threads and his content resonated with me so much. He has less than 500 followers, by the way. His content resonated with me. We hopped on a call and he taught me a lot about launching a high ticket program. So it's more like a personalized course put together just for me. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm ready to pay this much because it's going to pay dividends in the long run. Now I know exactly what to do if I were to launch future high ticket programs. But not only that, I was able to analyze like his exact coaching program. So if I want to do something like him in the future, I know exactly what to do. He was very proactive. He communicated very well. So I was like taking notes during our meetings of like how he communicated things and like what he was sending via Slack. And that way it's like, I'm not just learning what he's teaching me, but like observing what he does in case I want to do it in the future. So it was pretty expensive, but so like I paid 4.4K USD for his like coaching for I think a month or two. And then he helped me launch a high ticket program, which I made 8,000. So like I doubled basically the amount. But the issue is for my coaching, or for my program, the high ticket program, let me share how much I got from it. Okay, so only 1,000 of that 8,000 has been paid out because it's like a 6-month payment plan, which I like to do instead of a monthly recurring subscription, because I feel like payment plan is like the same as monthly recurring revenue, but without the resistance of like, I don't know about subscriptions. I hate subscriptions. So only 1.3K made so far, but in the next few months, there's going to be more coming in.
That's so exciting. Looking at all the expenses, I guess your revenue and your time spent, what are you hoping to prioritize? How do you use this data to decide what you want to focus on?
Yeah, so I actually just today, I was spending time thinking about my goals for the year and like reverse engineering my revenue goals. I'm very behind because I like to set my goals higher because I don't get discouraged if I fail. I feel like I have a more growth or learning mindset. So I set it very high and I'm like reverse engineering. Okay, like with these revenue streams and these conversion rates, like how many views are needed, assuming I sell at this price and I want to make this amount from this product. So then I basically figured out I need to get this many eyeballs on my landing page through videos, email, whatever I want to do. And then I just kind of like work backwards from there. So if I look at my revenue, like here in January, you can see a lot of the revenue, like 65% came from my course, which I'm not really heavily promoting. It's just, the payment plans being paid out or like people just purchasing it. And then here, my goal amount is actually 37% of revenue from the course because anytime something is like more than half of the revenue, I get nervous because I want to diversify like where my money is coming from. And then the rest is this is all just estimates, to be honest. And then at least now I have a specific goal to shoot for. So I'm like posting videos every day because I have this specific number in my head. And then at the very end of the month or even the year, it shows like the percentage, like how close I am to that goal. Did I hit my numbers or not? If I didn't, how come and what can I change for the next month? Because like when you're your own boss, you kind of have to like assign yourself stuff like this.
Wow, this is amazing. Grace, I don't know if you have something like this. My financial dashboard for Declassified is very disorganized, if non-existent, compared to what we've got on screen right now. For those of you who are listening, definitely check out like our YouTube or our Spotify because you'll be able to see
Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit weird because when my accountant comes to me, the number is from June 1st, 2023 to May 31st, 2024, because that's when I incorporated as a company and like the fiscal year is different. So when he gave me the P&L, like the profit and loss sheet, it was like, oh, and I included my full-time job as an independent contractor for this company as well. So he said I made like 111K Canadian or something. And I was like, what the hell? I didn't know I made that much.
that's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah, but like I had to pay so much in taxes and I didn't know that I had to pay that much because I didn't know I made that much. But then I told him that I was going to make less this year because I got laid off from my full-time job. And so, okay, the total in USD in revenue was 69.9. And then in Canadian, it was like 100K. And this is only from my creator business. Like this is not from any jobs or anything. And this is for all of 2024, not like the June to May thing. So the numbers are a bit different than what my accountant shows me, but it's all approximations.
No, that's amazing. And this is your first like full year in it, right? 2024 is kind of like your first full year.
Yeah, but I did go viral, which is like it helped a lot. So
no, but that's okay. Like I think so. I was one of a guy who used to work for me. One of his friends is actually an editor for NKBHD. Do you guys know who NKBHD is? Right. So one of the biggest YouTubers, for those who are listening who might not know who he is, but he was just doing some side research where he took the videos from MKBHD, Mr. Beast, all the way to a lot smaller creators like our size and even smaller. And what he noticed was even if you look at, like if you plot all the views on a graph, it's pretty much aligns with that 80-20 rule where like 20% of your videos provide for 80% of your views. But that's still like that correlation still happens at the largest level. So even though you're seeing that MKBHD, Mr. Beast, etc. are getting so many views on every single video that they put out, it still crazily kind of falls along that line. So your point about like going viral, I would also argue that's probably a part of your 80-20 rule, which will likely still continue into 2025. But like, so the reason I bring that up, last year you grossed around 70K USD. I took a look at your follower count and like just looking at everything. I know a lot of creators that have millions of followers that struggle to make the amount of money that you've made. And so I would say you have figured out a way to super optimize, obviously very super optimized from the dashboard that you have up here, but you are able to pull out more dollars per follower than I think a lot of people are able to do. Like I know Grace, looking at your following, looking at our following at Declassify, I would love to have the dollar per follower that Jen's got. But I think that's something important. And I think the audience that are listening to us really should keep in mind, because your goal shouldn't necessarily only be to become the Mr. Beast, the NKBHDs of the world, etc. I think there's a much more sustainable path for someone to becoming someone like Jen, like yourself, Grace, like myself, because our lifestyles are amazing, right? I mean, your name is Vegan Tech Nomad. We haven't even dove into the nomad part where you're able to travel the world and things of that nature. So just want to give you your flowers there and like kudos to you. Like you've done an amazing job. And I'm excited to see how you hit that 600K goal off of, again, around 100K followers. That's going to be amazing to see.
Yeah, I hope I can get there. I just see posts all the time of people being like, they have less than 5,000 followers, but then they're making around more than 6K a month. And that's through like high ticket offerings or through sponsorships. So the thing is, like, I feel like I don't like doing that as much. I don't want to do one-on-one coaching as much. I tried it before. It was fun, but like it took up a lot of brain space. Especially I can't take calls when I'm traveling, and I travel a lot. I also don't like sponsors if they like I don't resonate with the product. So I have to find like very specific sponsors. So I actually did revenue per follower and revenue per email subscriber here. And this is just like average in general. And it looks like revenue per follower is like 8 cents. And then revenue on average, and then revenue per subscriber is actually 57 cents. So if I wanted to scale this and like run ads on something, then I know like I need to acquire subscribers for less than 57 cents, or I have to like, monetize these subscribers better. But I haven't done ads
are
yet.
those numbers right? Because wouldn't it be more than that if you gross even 60 off of 70K followers? That'd be closer to $1. Yeah.
This is average per month, not per general. I should do like for total.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because some people purchase more than one thing from me and like spend thousands of dollars. So I'm like, I don't know. I'll do that per year later.
Because I would think the per year would be close to like 50 cents to $1.
Yeah. So I have to, if I run ads, I have to like make sure the amount is under that, or else I'll go bankrupt. One more thing I can share is how it impacts my personal finances. So I also have a dashboard for my personal stuff, like my income, all my expenses. Like you can see all the blue is travel, and I spent too much money on travel last year because I did not do this tracking. I have a YouTube video about personal finances actually. So you can see I made like 115, which included my full-time job, and I spent like 43K, which is so bad. But this is in Canadian dollars. So, and then you can see I spent a bunch in December. 51% was travel, and then the rest is like gifts, donations, eating out, and other. And then in 2025, I basically used the same thing. And January 2025, I spent like $1,000 on gym and fitness for some reason. So this like really vibe checks myself. I feel like my business and my lifestyle, like everything is tied together when you have a personal brand. Like some of this stuff probably could be a business expense. I just put it on my personal card because I didn't want to get in trouble with the government. But this really vibe checks me because I'm like, I really should not be spending this much on travel or on gym, especially if I'm not counting it as a business expense. So highly recommend tracking finances.
This is so impressive. How do you balance the fine line between like sharing, keeping your life, and deciding what to share online?
I think if it's anything that can impact other people in my life, so like my relationships, my friendships, then I try not to share it to maintain their privacy. But if it's something that is like just me only, and I know I wouldn't mind strangers and teachers and other people seeing it, then I'd post it. It's just like I know I could expense a lot of my travel if I posted more about travel and I made travel guides. It's just like it's so hard to edit the travel videos together, and like making the travel guides, people love them, but like it takes so much time. Like I have to dig up all the photos, I have to like write the stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me just put it as personal. Like let me just enjoy my vacation. Because I wanted to start a travel blog, and I felt like I had to like take a bunch of photos. I had to like write everything down, and I could not enjoy traveling at all. So I was like, oh, just put it as personal expense.
Oh, that's so relatable. I'm like so behind. I'm like 2 months behind on my Instagram stories because I take so many photos. Like that would be a travel blog and also do that as a travel expense too. But I was like, I want to enjoy my time. So same.
Yeah. Actually, I started posting travel stuff because I wanted to get sponsored trips. And there was a travel company that did sponsor some of my stuff. Like I went to Universal Studios Japan and they covered a lot of the tickets and stuff. But the entire time I was like stressed out because I'm like, I need to get the perfect shot. There's like too many people in the way. I have to like blur their faces. And I was so stressed the entire day, even though it was like kind of fun. But I was like not happy because I couldn't get the shot I wanted. And a lot of the footage, it was like, taking up my phone space. And I also couldn't use the footage because I was like, it got too fast and I couldn't do it. There are some people who do it very well. They plan the shots ahead of time. Everything looks nice. But I'm not used to that kind of thing. I just like want to enjoy, you know? So a lot of the footage wasn't usable. I went too fast. Like, I wasn't really happy with the product of the video, but the sponsor was happy. So it is what it is.
Relate. I also went to travel context. I want to get sponsored trips and then pay me too, but like, nah.
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing I should share while we're on the topic of documentation and everything. I have this template where it's like everything that this is for my ADHD content system program, which is like me teaching other people how to track and make content as well. All of this stuff is here. Like I have basically everything you need as a creator, including everything I use for my course, from the research to landing page examples, the emails that I sent. So everything is here. I have templates for that too. I can share with you guys.
Yes, this is so impressive. We would love to link these in the show notes. I would love to dive into this. I'm so impressed by how detail oriented you are and how you're able to like use numbers and calculate ROI and like so technical with everything and able to relate everything to your business and life. This is really impressive.
I feel like I have to do this in order to like not just go on vibes because that's what I'm used to. So I'll just forget everything or like not do anything if I don't have these systems. And I make these systems work for me because the graphs are so pretty and colorful. And like there's all these emojis in this template. So it's fun to do.
It could be content too.
Yeah.
I just go on vibes. And I should be more tracking with my life too.
No, I think Grace, you and I going off vibes for sure, but it gets us into trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even right now, like I'm having to deal with a bunch of tax stuff, just because like 1099s and stuff were due on the 31st, and I totally forgot about that deadline. So shout out to the U.S. Tax system that I have to figure out now. But with that being said, Jen, I think it's really interesting because I was looking at sort of your career path, right? And like looking backwards, it might make sense to connect the dots, but looking forward, a lot of it honestly doesn't make a lot of sense to me as someone just outside looking in. Could you talk a little bit about how someone goes from design to marketing to, I'm just going to call this like analytics dashboard galore type of vibe? Because I feel like each of those different career jobs that you've had are very different in terms of the skill that you need for that actual position. Talk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so I think my philosophy is very much like do what you like. So when I was in university, I majored in psychology and minored in publishing, which is like print design, like books and stuff and magazines. So I knew I liked design vibes. I knew I liked learning more about people. I liked tech. So through my university experience, a lot of the clubs I signed up for or created, a lot of my internship experience, all of that was something related to design or marketing because that's like, you need psychology for both of those. And because I liked that, every career that I pursued after that kind of was that creative marketing design vibe. Even for my course, I made that course because like from a very design oriented background, like I did user interviews to really understand what people wanted from the course, like my life tracking course. I used the things that they told me in the landing page. And I think that's why the course did so well on launch. So it went from like me just liking what I do in marketing and design. And that led me to found a club/startup, my first startup, which was in education, teaching people UX design skills, finance skills, data, I think. Well, there was a bunch of different tech skills. And then I started working for an education startup, basically doing that same thing, but on a global scale. And then I started my own thing, which is like also selling a course based on everything I learned from my years in education startups. So to me, I'm like, oh, this kind of makes sense. I just did what I liked, and then that led me to do more things I liked, which led me here, which is a life that I like. But in the past, there were some parts that I didn't like. I think people tried pushing me to be a counselor or like a social media manager, but I just found scheduling posts so boring. So the more I said yes to that, the more it kind of led me down that path. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? I want these other opportunities. So I said no, and I only said yes to the things that I liked. And now here I am. So I always encourage people to like try things that they like and then just kind of follow that path and see where it goes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people kind of stop, like, prevent themselves from reaching their full potential because they are so tied to their identity with their job title. Because I remember we met in Design Buddies because we did something with Emerge GX, your startup, in Design Buddies. It was like a hackathon. So that's how we initially met, like 2, 3 years ago, a long time ago. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm so curious, like kind of on the topic of creation and sponsorships, because I know a lot of people are, a lot of especially like new and also current creators are interested in like working with sponsors. And in my opinion, I feel like being very selective in the sponsors you work with is really important because it dilutes your own message the more you share like other people's message. I'm so curious, like, how do you approach like sponsorships these days? How do you decide which one is one you want to work with? How do you like, how do brand deals work for you and stuff like that?
So I actually don't do too much sponsorship stuff anymore unless it's something that I really like and I love the product. So the recent sponsor I did, actually I can share my screen. So I recently made this document because for sponsors that I don't like, I don't know, Amazon storefront or like, I think there were a bunch of products, like physical products, and I don't really want to promote physical products. And they try to reach out to me and I just like deleted all of the emails. So I only send this to the sponsors I reach out to, or like if I like their product and I email their team, I'm like, please, I want to promote your product. Can you sponsor me? Or sponsors who reach out to me that I'm like, wait, this is actually a really cool product. So I have everything here, like all of my social handles. I actually have two separate brands, kind of. Like my biggest is the productivity brand, but I also have my personal brand, which is like, the business side of things. It feels very split right now. And then all of the demographics of my newsletters and stuff. Oh, this is when I started hardcore promoting my course, which is why there's this dip here. But I have all these previous sponsorship stuff that I've done. There was this sponsor who reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I didn't think it would be a fit because it was language learning. But then the comments on the sponsored video people were loving it because I think it really shows my passion because I like language learning. My brand is not about language learning, but when I showed like, this app is so cool, I love it, this is such a good product, people can sense that. And then they thought it was cool too. So the sponsor was like really happy with the results. Somebody actually purchased. So that was really good. I also did sponsors on my LinkedIn too. Like I'm just doing stuff everywhere if I liked the company. And then what they do is like usually people reach out for my Instagram. And I've been trying to get more sponsors for YouTube and LinkedIn as well. In the beginning, a lot of people did newsletter, but now it's just like I put the Beehive ad slot. They do it automatically for you. And then we discuss the scope. Usually it's a post or a video. And then we discuss the budget, but I'm not that good at negotiating budget. I remember there was this one time when this company I never heard of asked me, and I was like, I don't really want to do this video. Let me just throw out a very big number. And I said $1,000. But then I found out this company was like really, really big and everybody had heard of them. So I'm like, oh, I should have said like 10,000 or something. I don't know. But the most that I've gotten paid was actually $2,000 for a video on my Instagram, which I feel like is still low because that company was also pretty big. But a lot of the people who actually reach out to me that I end up liking is like the underrated platform, which is like only 1 or 2 people working on it. So obviously they can't afford thousands of dollars, which is why I got anchored to like only a few hundred. So yeah, that's my sponsorship experience so far.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Yeah, negotiation is such a tricky game because it's like you're trying to understand what their budget is. You're trying to position yourself as someone they want to work with too. And then you also want to make sure they're good to work with and their brand resonates with your audience and making sure you maintain trust and keep all the vibes going and stuff. So I'm also working through that too.
There was this one lady that I follow. She has, I think, 12K followers on Instagram, and it's a very local, like to Vancouver only. And there was this brand who reached out to her, and they were like, "Hey, can we do a gifted collaboration? Like, we give you these things, and you like post about us for free." And she was like, first of all, I didn't know that for gifted collaborations, you might actually have to pay tax on those. So she was like, "Let me turn it." Yeah, it's a whole thing. But she said, "Let me turn it back on them." And she was like, as like a woman of color, like I deserve to be paid what I'm worth. Like if your company values like all of this stuff, like let's do this. And then she upsold them on a $2,000 UGC package. So she didn't have to post on her platform. She just made 3 videos for them and they paid her $2,000 because they had the money. Like they were hiring an agency and everything to reach out to her, I think. So she turned a gifted collaboration into $2,000 just by advocating for herself and like having confidence and like anchoring them on that higher number. And I was like, I need that confidence because she has like 12K followers. I have 70K. Like, what am I doing? I need to act like I have the 70K followers instead of being like, I'll accept $100. It's okay. You don't have money. Like, no, I need to have that abundance mindset. So.
Wow. Yeah, slay on her end. But damn, I feel like these companies, in my personal experience working with them, they kind of see, I did content, I did some sponsorships in high school actually with like fitness and like food companies. So I had like a food account, random side quest. But I did a lot of gifted ones, and these people, I was like a young high school student, so these people only paid like $100. But I feel like they're paying so much for ads, they're paying so much for marketing. So being able to understand how much their budget is really key, and asking questions about that. That's so cool.
Wait, that's the other thing that the 12K followers girl mentioned to me is that like I think I tie a lot of my self-worth to results. So if a sponsor video doesn't get that many views, I feel so bad about it. I'm like, hey, I can post another video. Like I start, offering to do more. But I have been on the sponsor side. Like I have paid people as part of my company. I've paid them money to like post about us. If a campaign doesn't do well, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like it didn't work. At least we learned something. Like we learned this channel doesn't work, or like this influencer doesn't work. Like that amount of money is nothing to us. We spend so much more on ads. And I had to like reframe and be like, I'm not like they paid me for this video. I did it. The job is done. Like I'm not responsible for how it performs. Like if they give me a script and I do what they say in the script, like it's not my fault if their script sucks, like I can give feedback and stuff, but it's not really my responsibility. And then once I realized that, I think you kind of like, you get higher ROI on your time. You have more confidence. You can make more. So this girl was like kind of mentoring me in a way in that one conversation we had. And she was like, you need to just focus on doing the video and like don't worry about how it performs, because if they want to test more with you, they would purchase like more packages with you and like have you post more videos. And then even after you post it, the video can still perform well, because people who are searching for the brand name and then they see you talking about it like a real person, it's like the long-term game basically. So I was like, I need to internalize this and like stop feeling like I'm not worth much when the companies don't even care.
Yeah. I mean, like my perspective on like negotiating and everything like that has always been like, if someone keeps saying yes to you without negotiating, then that likely means you price yourself way too low, right? Which even like to my standpoint, everyone does it. Like I did it 2-3 weeks ago when we just signed this deal with another brand to do some work, because I had no idea what the market was for this sort of like corporate UGC product. And so I just threw a number out there, which I thought was high. And they just came back and said yes. And I was like, damn, like that's crazy. Like still a great bag. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's still like, like that probably could have been higher. You know what I mean? But you win some, you lose some. And like what I would say about this space is it's a black box. What you're worth and what your audience is worth is different than Grace's, is different than mine, is different than that girl that you're talking about that has 12K, right? I think what it ultimately comes down to, and again, one of the reasons why we started this podcast, is you need to just grow that confidence through knowledge of like learning about how different spaces are priced and different words that are used and different ways to position yourself and everything like that allows you to charge a little bit more, right? Like maybe the reason that she was able to land or like turn a $0 gifting sort of gig into a 2K gig was she slammed down on that sort of diversity angle, which maybe that company is like super in on like the diversity side of things, so to say, right? So it's tough. It's a tough world out there, but when you get it right, like it feels like you're at the top of the world. And I just love the negotiating side of this stuff.
Really? Okay, I hate the negotiating side because actually I try to have that confidence, and literally in January, this company offered me 4.5K for 3 YouTube style UGC videos and 3 hooks. So like 9 videos total, but it was like the work of 3 videos. And I was like, okay, let me try and negotiate here. I didn't do it right. This is before I read Never Split the Difference, which was a life-changing book, I think. I thought it was going to be tech bro, so I didn't want to read it. But it was more like, oh, this is how you can actually understand other people so you can all get what you want. But it was before I read that book. So I was like, hey, let me try and negotiate for like 5,000 instead of 4.5K. And they came back and then they were like, no. I was like, oh, okay, I could have gotten 4.5K, but oh well, it is what it is.
Well, so here, like the thing that I like, again, my perspective on this is no deal is ever dead. It's just a matter of, to your point of like high ticket value course versus mid ticket versus whatever, it's like, how do you make sure that they see value in it? So for instance, let's just say you wanted to go up to 5K or whatever, and they wanted UGC work. You could have said, okay, I'll do 4,500. And this is something that we've done. I'll do 4,500, but what we typically do with our UGC content is we will give you ad rights for the first 60 days or whatever. And if you want ad rights for the next month or whatever it may be, it's 10% of whatever the contract value is for every single month that you want to throw ads onto it, right? Because let's just say you do the videos for the 4,500 and those videos kill. They love it and they want to keep spending money on the ads or whatever. Then it's like, well, if you gave them unlimited rights, now you're out and they're making millions upon millions of dollars on the video that you created. But at least if you put some sort of contingency there of like usage rights after 60 days or 90 days, 30 days, whatever that timeline is, different contracts are different timelines. That allows you to at least recoup a little bit of it. Like there's a friend of ours that we always kind of clown a little bit because he did a deal with BetterHelp. Is that the app, right? BetterHelp. And this is when he was just getting started. He did a deal with them, gave them usage rights into perpetuity, essentially. And so every year this ad has been running for like the past 3-4 years. And we like every time I see it on TikTok, I send it to him as just like a bro, like you messed up, because he was like early on. He's probably like 20 years old when he signed the contract or something. But if you start to, again, understand the lingo and understand the language of business and like the creator side of it, you start to pick up these things that you can throw into contracts that allow you to level up sometimes the pricing of things.
The issue is, I think a lot of these companies don't know. Like the companies that I talk to, I guess they're too small. They don't even know what usage rights are. Like they're really new. And I was surprised because this company that I was talking to is like big. Like I've heard of them. My friends have heard of them. But they're big in the productivity space. And I'm a productivity influencer. So they reached out to me. And I was like, okay, these 3 videos, all of this, what about the usage rights? And they're like, oh, we never thought about it. And I was like, okay, let's add an extra $500, usage rights 60 days. And they're like, oh, we'll get back to you. So I guess all the other creators are just like letting them use their ads forever. Because I was like, how are you this big, working with influencers already, and you don't know about usage rights? So
it's, like I said, it's a black box, right? Some companies, whether morally right or not, do different sort of tactics. And there's a website called like fuck you pay me, I think it is .com, right, where you like a lot of brand like or people leave reviews on brands and stuff like that. It's not like an amazing website, I don't think, but it does its job in terms of you can do a lot of like base level research on brands and different campaigns that they've run. But that's sort of a good place that I look at to see who's a good brand and who's not, because we've all worked with good and bad brands.
yeah, there was another thing that I just thought of and remembered is there was this one company that reached out to me, but I saw they were using an agency. So then I was like, okay, this company can afford an agency. Let me quote them this amount. And then I think the agency got back to me and they're like, this is too much. This is out of budget for this company, but we're also working with this other company if you're interested in doing something for them. And I was like, yes, please put me down for that campaign. It aligns so much better.
That's so big brain. Use the agency to connect with other people too. Yeah. That's awesome. I also really want to dive in how you went viral. Like, what happened? Like, what was that moment? What was that first video went viral? How do you like hook people? What is like your formula? And what has worked in your experience?
Okay, I need to show you the Figma I made about this. I made a cheat sheet. It's part of my program. But the first video that went viral was about my life tracking. And it was during a time when everybody was working on their goals, like for New Year's and stuff. So I think that's why. And the thing that's very important that I discovered is like the first few seconds, it has to show like your not your face, but like what I did was like I showed my face and then something I said grabbed people's attention. And then the next shot was immediately the cool thing. And then now they keep watching the rest of the video because they're like, how did she make this cool thing? And I kind of deconstructed everything I did and made it into a cheat sheet for my ADHD content system program students because like it's so hard for me to have a content plan. I don't have a content calendar, but I still post every day. And that's what led me to go viral because I think a lot of content out there is not made for ADHD brains. Like I need reward. I need like, my schedule is so chaotic. I need something that will actually help me stay consistent. And the stuff that people are putting out there is like, you need to do research. You need to make a content plan. I'm like, this is so boring for me. Like, I don't want to sit with a spreadsheet and like, you know, manually copy paste how many views my competitors are getting, right? So my Figma is not loading, but I have this on Google Drive. So let me share the cheat sheets. And there's a few that I'm going to go through. Okay, I have to share my screen here. Oh, I should have ordered these somehow. I think the first one is post ideas. So what this is I ask all my students, what's the biggest shocking thing you wish you knew 2 years ago in your niche? And then they usually answer and they tell me a few things about their story. And I write down the things that I think most people would find interesting. And then they basically have a list of all these exciting, fun stories that they're excited to tell, which is like where the reward part of the system comes in. If you have something that you're excited to share, it's going to be more motivating for you to make a video about that instead of like doing all this boring research. So you pick the one that you're most excited about first, and then you run it through this post formula that I usually use, and then you can repeat it as needed. So the post formula is this. Let me zoom in. So the first step is to pick your favorite post idea, which is just kind of like your answer or your story from that question I shared earlier about the most shocking thing you wish you knew. And then you want to select a vibe, like educational, entertaining, inspirational. I try to go for entertaining because I found that's what's most successful most of the time, especially when I tested it with the different hooks. Like I did hook testing where the exact same video with an educational hook performed a lot worse than with an educational hook. So it was like 3 ways to be more productive, or like, exposing this weird thing that I did. So the entertainment one performed way better. Of course, you can combine vibes too. Like this is just a guideline. Then after that, step 3, it's like you can tell a story, or you can just like, I have to run people through this because if I try and make them make like a short, relatable video, it's like too generic. So I tell them the story. For a video, you want to have the hook and then the context and then the details. So if you're telling a story, you would say like, but then this happened and then this happened. So it's like there's constantly these plot twists that keep people watching, and then the payoff, and then finally the call to action that makes sense. So then after you kind of have this in mind, you decide a post type. So these are just some ones that I thought of off the top of my head. You can combine some or make more. So, like a random video with text on screen, POV, voiceover, talking head, skit, carousel, time-lapse, vlog, or some kind of transformation, which a lot of my students loved this because it's like you say the problem or the context and then you show like the desired result. And then that's it. That's the video. And then all these people are commenting like, oh my gosh, how do you do this? Let me follow you to learn. Let me like request another video. Let me sign up for your newsletter or you subscribe to your YouTube so I can learn more in detail about that. Because short form video is not the place to explain the complicated stuff. People are going to scroll away. It's too boring. Now, for the call to action, I sometimes for follow, you want to use loss aversion here because I've had a lot of people say like, oh, I didn't follow you, but then I lost you. I'm so glad I found you on my feed again and I made sure to follow this time. So you can say something like follow or you'll never see me again or something. Read captions so that the video loops around as people are reading. Comment, share, save, or send me a DM, and then the DM automation takes care of the rest. And then the next cheat sheet is post types. So these are just like the examples of the post types that I thought of. I can share all these cheat sheets with you. I think this is too much to read out, but like all the examples are here. Like for transformation, it's like I was problem, but then I desired result. So this is more for ideation. And then after that, I have hook ideas for the different vibes. So first, I tell my students there's like 3 types of hooks in the first few seconds. There's the visual hook, or like what you're doing and showing. There's the audio hook, which is like, a trending sound, a voiceover or whatever, and text on screen. And then so if you're looking for educational vibe, like I like to divide it into transformation, objection handling, or a story. And there's some examples here. For an entertaining vibe, which is my favorite because people always like watching for the drama, like they're on social media to be entertained. There's also like the transformation, but you can frame it in a more entertaining way, objection handling and story. And then same with inspirational. But this is all just a guideline. Like, of course, you can make videos that have nothing to do with this. The other day, as part of my program, I made a video in 6 minutes from ideation to like posting. It took 6 minutes and now it has like 17K views or something because I really internalized everything I shared in these cheat sheets. Like I made sure it had a good hook. The context was also kind of part of the hook. The details was like the next 2 seconds. And then the payoff was like right after that. So it was like a 7-second video. And then at the end, like after you post or after you make the post, you can run it through this post scorecard and say like, yes or no, does it catch attention in the first 2 to 4 seconds? Does it build a curiosity gap so you keep watching? Do you build suspense or intrigue so you keep watching? Does it feel satisfying, like your curiosity paid off? And does the call to action feel natural and aligned with your goals? And it's just yes or no because I really want to prioritize for retention. If it's like no and they scrolled away, like the algorithm is not going to push it out to more people. So it's very simple, yes or no. And then if you put no for any of these, you can, like the next video you make, you can focus more on that and improve your video in that way. And that's why I force my students to post every single day, because the more you post, the more you'll like really internalize what kind of videos do well.
This is so awesome. Yeah, I would love for you to share it with us. I'm gonna post every day now. I still post every day, but I make videos every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
That's so
complicated. Like it can just be a 5-second video of you filming your face or like filming your food or whatever, and then just put text on screen in like transformation or like a story or like POV.
I like that. And I noticed like if you have a lot of text on there, if you make the video loop, people will stay on to read the text. And it's good for the algorithm because people like stay on, like more views, so it pumps it out to more people.
Yeah, but I like to prioritize for more shares nowadays, which is why I like entertainment, because I want to, it's not just like people who follow me and already know me that see my posts. I want people to share it with people who haven't seen my posts so I can grow in followers and like have more people sign up for my course and stuff.
And people probably like more vibe with you more if they received you from a friend too, like a referral. Yeah, like a warm intro. That is so awesome. Yeah, I've learned so much from you. I'm so excited to like track my life, make content every day, negotiate, work with sponsors and all that. So you shared lots of great tips. I love how you also have spreadsheets and like PDFs, like break down everything. So those listening on Spotify, check it out on YouTube. You'll get to see everything, and we can link a lot of the resources down in the comments. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what is like your productivity stack?
Oh, I have a Notion page for this.
There's a Notion page. There's a Google Sheet for everything. I love it.
Yeah, because this is where I put all my affiliate links, and it's part of my welcome sequence. So I actually got paid a little bit for some of these. I have to share my screen. So I don't use some of these tools anymore, but I use Toggle Track for time tracking. A lot of people ask me about that. I use Notion, of course. I use Metricool for scheduling and analytics. And usually I would hate scheduling because I like to just film a bunch and then post a bunch, but I can't post 5 times a day at the same time. But then if I don't like schedule everything or like post everything the day I film, I'm just going to forget about it. So I use Metricool to schedule, and there's like cute colors and graphs and stuff. So that's why I like using that. And then Beehive for my newsletter, which is also really cute, and they have cool colorful graphs. Get Link in Chat is underrated for DM automation. If you don't need fancy DM funnels for your Instagram, then you don't need to pay for ManyChat. You can just use Get Link in Chat, which is like, comment this or this, and then it just sends it to you, or it sends it to whoever commented. I like this better than ManyChat for that because I can schedule posts for like the week ahead. Whereas for ManyChat, it's like you can schedule the automation for the next post. So you can't really schedule more than one post ahead. At least that was from like last year when I used it. So I swapped over so I could schedule a bunch of posts for the week. I also use audio notes, which I just yap to my phone, and then it makes a mind map for me. It makes like a summary of everything I say and helps me plan everything, and I can chat with it as well. That's the productivity tools. And then I also have my tech stack for business, which is Kale if you're looking to get into UGC. Archive, because sometimes I miss when people tag me in business or tag me in Instagram stories. So Archive actually allows me to see everything that they are tagging me in after 24 hours. Metricool I already shared. Oh, Butter is what I use for meetings. The UX is really good. People love it. There's like fun quizzes and whiteboarding. Tally for forms. CapCut for editing, of course. And a bunch of other stuff. Oh, I use Experienceify for my course. I love this because it has like cute little gamification check marks, and then people love the sound that it makes when you check off your homework. Yeah, there's like a bunch of finance stuff as well. So I can send all of these over if you want. I actually have a media kit of all the links somewhere.
Yes, that'd be so amazing. I'm gonna check these out. It's so inspirational.
No, that's awesome. I'll throw a question here. When it comes to traveling, like how many countries have you been to? And what is your like top 3 list out of those countries?
Yeah, so like 23, 24 if you count Vatican City, but I counted it as one because it was like in Rome, so technically it's a country, but I was like, I don't know about this. Doesn't feel like it counts. Um, and my favorite so far has been Vietnam because the vegan food was really, really good. It was also very beautiful, even though I went during monsoon season. Um, I also really liked Australia, but maybe I'm biased because my partner lives there. But the beaches are very nice. Um, and I would say Banff was beautiful. Banff in Alberta, because especially in the winter, I need to go for the summer for the hikes, but like this beautiful scenery and mountains, like it's just breathtaking. This could be like a Windows background picture right now, but like I'm seeing it in real life. So that is really nice.
That's awesome. Banff is near Vancouver, right? I think it's on that side of Canada.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
That's awesome. That's on the bucket list. I haven't been there.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, that's what Vietnam is amazing too. I loved it too. I loved it. I've been there
Yeah.
like twice. I'm curious, like I also struggle with this, but like I've spent like 6 months last year nomading around the world. It was so fun, but I feel like it was like hard to stay productive when I was traveling. So how do you like balance seeing the world, like wanting to do tourist activities, like go to digital nomad meetups and like while still growing your business?
Yeah, I think the 80/20 rule really applies here, and that's why I track my time and track the ROI. Because every day I'm like, what's the most important thing I need to get done that will bring me the most money? And then I do that thing, and usually it takes like less than an hour. So I just do that thing for 1 hour, and then the rest of the time I can do whatever I want. Um, that focus is really important because when I was making my course, I wanted to make a life tracking course for like months, but it wasn't until I got laid off that I actually made the course in less than a month. I think from ideation to execution, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. And that was because I had complete focus in what I wanted to do. I wasn't working like 12-hour days or anything. It was like no distractions, just focusing on the highest ROI tasks. And then once that's done, I move on to the next project that I want to work on. So it's really about focus and knowing what's highest ROI.
I definitely need to do that. I get distracted so easily with shiny things everywhere. I'm also curious, like, what are the creators and brands you look up to?
Ooh, there's a lot. I liked It's Modern Millie on YouTube. She, like, her whole business is like amazing. I keep screenshotting her entire funnel and trying to apply it to myself. But then at some point I realized I had to stop learning and just do and like apply what I'm learning. So It's Modern Millie was really good. She actually has a video that shares everything she does. And at the end of the video, she's like, if you want, there's a $1 template that summarizes everything and it's like a worksheet for you. And I thought that was so smart because like she gave the value and it's like, if you want to, you can save some time using her $1 template. And it was like a no-brainer purchase for me. So she's really good. I also really like Ollie Richards from Story Learning. He made like a whole ebook in a Google Doc and I just learned so much from him. And I went through his funnel and it was just like, I usually never pay for $200 language learning courses, but he made it so easy to just say yes. So I was like paying for the $200 course. And then after that, there's like an upgrade that was like limited time for part 2 of the course. So I also paid for that. And then I went through all of his emails and like everything was just so compelling. I was like, wow, how did I just spend all this money on this thing immediately? But then you could also request a refund. It's a free trial anyway. So that was really good. Ollie Richards, I learned a lot from him. There's a lot of other people like on Instagram. I follow Brock 11 Johnson and I learned a lot of Instagram tips from him. Marketing Harry, Katie Stuckley, but she's more YouTube, but like she was very transparent with her income streams and the breakdown. So I looked up to her a lot because that inspired me. April Lynn Alter, but she's more YouTube. And I think that's it. I feel like I look up to more people in the video space instead of the text-based platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter. Like there's a lot of big Twitter creators I look up to, but for some reason, it's like the people whose faces I can see in my head from like the video point of view that I remember the most. And I think that's why everybody's trying to get into personal branding and video now. Like all the bloggers and text-based content people, they're like, we need to get into video as well. So
Yeah, I think a piece. Yeah, I think a piece of that too, right, is Google's kind of killed off blogging as well. Like over the past like 6 months or so, it seems like just I've just been kind of paying attention to that world. And YouTube is, while there are a ton of videos out there, there's still not enough, I would say, in terms of good quality content. And it's fascinating. Like the people that you're just mentioning, like I knew absolutely none of them, but they all, like I did a quick search. Modern Millie's like 500K. I'm looking at Ollie right now. He's 500K on, this is just YouTube alone. And then like the only one that I think I knew was Marketing Harry, because he does like marketing examples, right? That's the guy behind Marketing Examples, I think.
oh wait, I was actually thinking of this other Harry, but I also know that guy. That one is like more of a Twitter guy. I forgot about him.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. More
marketing
Twitter.
Harry. Okay, that one is like marketing Harry is the Instagram guy. He has 500K, and like I just see his face everywhere, which is why I remember him.
Oh, interesting. I don't know who this is. I've never seen him before. I'm looking him up right now. Um, Interesting. Okay. But that's the crazy thing about this world, right? Like there's so many people out there that your ecosystem is so different than mine, is so different than Grace's. And I think it's great to be able to find and share these stories and learn a little bit more about people like yourself who are killing it in these quote unquote small niches, but there's a lot of money to be made in these spaces and a lot of fun lifestyles to be had too.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking your time and sharing your experience and your knowledge and your wisdom and all the templates with us. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was really fun. I always love sharing transparently because it's like this is the stuff I wish I had when I started. Like I wasted months like doing nothing because I was so confused.
I totally feel that. Where can people find you, and what's the best platform to reach out to you on?
Yeah, I'm chronically online, so like basically everywhere. But my biggest platform is Instagram at Vegan Tech Nomad, and then YouTube, and of course my email, vegantechnomad@gmail.com, because I could not figure out how to get like the at vegantechnomad.com email. It's like too much admin work. I still haven't done it. My newsletter, vegantechnomad.com. There's like a lot of links that I have in my media kit that I can send over. So yeah, I just send you that document.
Love it. Love it. Well, I appreciate you for coming on, and that's the pod.